Well, good morning. I hope you all are doing well today. I'm your handsomely unkept host, Storm Surge 721. And right now it is 12:17 a.m., July 23rd, 2026, which means happy Splatoon Raiders Day. Woo! Yay! Cue the sound effects or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll put it in post. Maybe I won't. Probably won't. It's 12 in the morning. I'm not going to get too loud because I'm not trying to wake nobody up. But yes, today is the day. We finally have Splatoon Raiders. I've been hyped about this game ever since released. Okay. All right. Ever since the first trailer where they told us it was going to be a PvE based spinoff to every overview trailer. Now I know they released a couple of more overview trailers, which one part of me wants to watch it, another part of me is like, I'm gonna like leave it alone so I can go in as blind as possible. I, for one, was so excited. I wanted to get the game physical. I wanted to see maybe we can get some physical bonuses from my local GameStop. So I got the game physical. So I have the privilege of waiting for the next 12 hours before I can go and pick up my copy. Isn't that so lovely? Hooray! Maybe PlayStation was on to something with all digital future. I'm kidding. That's a joke. A couple things I'm excited for before we talk about Splatoon Raiders itself, all right? So, first things first, I am a newbie when it comes to Splatoon games, all right? I've heard about it. I've heard the information. You're a kid, you're a Squid now trailer, and I was like, wow, I don't know what that is. I mean, the game looks interesting, but that trailer music is awful. And I'm so glad they never went back to that type of music ever again. Because when you actually play Splatoon, it's really fun, okay? Like, now, I played the Wii U version of Splatoon 1 long after the Nintendo service went down, so I'll never know what it's like to experience the multiplayer. I heard near the end of the game, it was pretty insane what people were able to do in that game. I'm talking flying around, insta splat. If you can think of it, it was happening in those servers before the shutdown. But at least for now, all I really played was the story mode. And I gotta tell you, the story mode was pretty good. I liked it. It introduced you, met Captain Cuttlefish. He introduced you. You went through a couple of levels. You picked up some scrolls. You learned about the lore. And I'm not talking like, oh, it's just a single little Squid game where people turn into, no. Like, you learned there was a whole war, and like, once millions of years of, well, tens of thousands of years passed since like the human extinction, you learned that squids essentially just evolved again. They grew legs, turned into people, and there was a huge war between the octolings and the squidlings. And then you learned the squids win, and it's just a lot. It is a lot, and I think that is in my opinion. I love lore. I love retro RPGs, right? So you're telling me there was a whole like backstory to the silly Squid games where you shoot ink on each other? Sign me up. I love that part of the game. Multiplayer part, not so much. I don't really care for it. But I heard the Splatfests back in the day were pretty fun. But my only issue with at least Splatoon 1's, there wasn't that much to do. Once you finish the level, you collect all the things, and you upgraded your weapons. That was it. There was just like no incentive, no reason to keep going back to levels unless you wanted to see your gun shoot faster and have more ink. You are more than okay with like beating the game with just the base standard like hero shot, bomb, and tank level. You had to play with this. You had to play with this. Now that was in my opinion the hardest part of the game, playing with this big old tablet right here. All right, you had to pretty much swivel this around. All right, if you already wasn't disoriented trying to look at the screen, press the buttons and do the things all at once. It was just, in my opinion, a very interesting way to play Splatoon, especially when they made the X button, the jump button. I was so confused for like a good 10 levels before I finally got used to it. Long story short about Splatoon 1, great game, love the lore. The story itself is fantastic, right? In my opinion, albeit too short. That was his only issue. It was too short and not much to do, all right? Now, hopping over to Splatoon 2, you can finally use a controller, like a normal standard controller. And let me tell you something, that made a world of a difference. You can aim with the gyro and the right stick and the B button, which is what I'm used to pressing. So that was fun. The story this time around was a lot better, a little more in depth. You know, I'm not going to talk about spoilers. I will tell you right now, if you can pick yourself up a copy of Splatoon 2, you never played it before, go play it. It's great. I loved it, especially the DLCs, the Octo expansion. Get that, all right? That was also really fun. it wasn't so much like a roguelike, but a bunch of mini missions to do to get like the big things. You know what I mean? The thing to make the thing. That's what they called it, the things. So once you get the things and made the thing, and then you had that super climactic boss battle with the incredible music in the background, I was just like, dang, dang. That was a pretty good story. You know, on its own, Splatoon 2 story, a little more in depth. I love it. More lore. They introduced a system where each levels have their own set of weapons. You can just keep going back and replaying over and over and over. Just different experiences, get more power eggs, all that fun stuff. That's a little more incentive for me to want to go back to the story mode. If I'm like, okay, I want to take a break from multiplayer. I just want to pick up my Splatana and I don't think Splatanas were in the second game. You know what I mean? I want to pick up my paintbrush and just start whipping around and get a little more practice. Story mode for all three Splatoon games, about to be the fourth one now, were all just overgrown tutorials on how to like treat weapons, systems, mechanics to lead you over into the multiplayer mode so you have a better handle of what you're doing in there. You understand your special weapons, your supers, what type of weapons are best for each occasion, their ranges, anything you can think of a weapon and how effective it would be, you can test it all in like story mode, which is like really great. I love that. They don't just throw you in multiplayer and say, figure it out. Oh, you don't know what you're doing? Good luck. Now, jumping over to Splatoon 3, all right? This is more fresh on my mind, so I have a better idea of how I want to like comprehend how much I feel about it. It's great. It's fantastic, all right? The story is like the freshest pizza you ever pulled out of your oven. It is fantastic. All right. Number one, story super in depth, includes all the characters from the past games. Now, if you just hop into the game and you don't know who they are, that's not really important. It's not really important. It's just more like oh, I know that person. Oh, I know that reference. That's pretty cool. You're rewarded for being a long-time fan. But if you're just like, I just hopped into the third game, no big deal. They'll explain who they are anyways. You get to see their quirkiness and other quirks on full display. I think every character is lovable. From the returning Squid sisters as this part of the new Squid Big Splatoon, along with in canon the first character from Splatoon 1, which you can customize. If you don't want them to be just the standard yellow Squidling, you can make them a guy, make their skin darker, whatever you want to do. You can make your captain whatever you want. All right. Then there's the newly introduced deep cut, which are like enemies. And then later on, they're just like kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Whoop, don't mind me spoiling the game. They're just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Well, guess we could work together for whatever. And my main thing was, is there replayability? Do I just need to finish the level once and I can theoretically just move on? Yes and no. All right. Same thing with like Splatoon 2. This time they have a curated list of weapons that are best for these levels instead of like Splatoon 2 where they just give you whatever and you just gotta figure it out. So like you'll get like 3 different types of weapons. Kind of a system they took from Octo expansion where you'll have 3 curated weapons. Some would give you more like points more than others, depending on like how difficult it would be. And trust me, those points matter. All right. When you see one that's a little bit on the lower end, you play 1400 versus 1800, you're probably like, oh, well, I'm going to go for the 1800. And you're going to be struggling. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, why did I pick this? So you're just going to, you could just take the L, go back to the overworld, go back in and just go for the easier one. You'd be like, okay, cool, I can handle this. There was like one level I remember I was on for at least a good solid 40 minutes. I think it was one where I forgot what it's called, but I know you're on a grind rail and you're trying to hit every box before like you pass them, because if you pass a box, you die. I probably just described like 10 different missions, but if you know what mission I'm talking about, shouts out to you. Splatoon 3, great game. I tried using the bow and arrow, and at first it was going well until like the last 2 boxes where I didn't have enough time to get all the ink, get as much like charged up as fast as I can to get up the most damage out of it, and on top of that, have more ink for the last set of boxes. It was a crazy time. I was slowly losing my mind, chugging like a half gallon of water just trying to make it through. But yeah, that was a fun time. Every weapon is a different experience, and the best thing about it, every level, you don't have to do every level. you can do just a curated list, just enough power eggs to eat through the fuzzy ooze. And you can honestly, theoretically, if you have enough from like the previous island, which I believe was like island 3 and 5, which were like optional islands, you could theoretically just grind out 4, 3, and 5 and just beeline through 4 and 6 straight to the bosses and then go to the final boss. So that's pretty cool. I love that. It's a giant play box that's just kind of like, if you're here for the story, go ahead. But if you want to see what else we've been cooking up, what type of silly mini games we got that too. And honestly, I think Splatoon 3 story mode is like the most replayable ever. Like, you get a lot of stuff you can put into your lockers later. You can unlock more music around the island to make it this more complete song. You know, little by little, you get more instruments, more sounds, all that fun stuff. You're pretty much creating a song as you play the game. What else? And you could just talk to Callie a lot. She'll give you a lot of power eggs, or you can cover her in ink. It's pretty much a good time, really. Oh, and Small Fry. I can't believe I forget the GOAT. Small Fry. He's your little guy. He's your little salmonoid that you keep around with you. He's the one who eats all the fuzzy ooze. He's cute. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be getting us a little Small Fry in Raiders, but you know, here's hoping we can get a little Small Fry. But and Side Order. Oh my gosh, let me yap on about Side Order real quick. So Side Order is a pretty much like their roguelike mode, right? So pretty much you're in this tower, right? After the first, initial 10 levels, you beat that boss, and then you get a good handle of what's going on. After that, you have to do 30 levels in a row without dying, right? With only like either unless you like increase your life. That's why I'm calling it a roguelike. But honestly, what's the difference anyways? Semantics. Anyway, it's a rogue-like experience. You get one set weapon, one set of bombs, and one super that I know you can change. You can change your bomb and your super from the vending machines throughout the levels. And you have to go up 30 floor, all increasing in difficulty. So you got the first 10 floors, which is like easy mode. Next 20 is like medium. And then the 30 are just kind of like, hey, what are you doing in my swamp? And then they just bust your balls straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was this protect the zone mission where like there was this one fish salmonoid zombie, whatever they call them, gelatins, I think, that was like homing babies at me from her eggs. And like the best way to like defeat her was to shoot the eggs themselves so they would stop spawning, and then the mama would explode. And then she would just turn into whatever color ink you got. And completely off topic, I love the ink colors. Some of them kind of look kind of gross. Like, it was one that was primarily pink with like some blue-green ooze on the end. And I'm like, ooh, it kind of looked like vomit. I'm not going to lie. But I still thought it was cool overall. And I would love if we could I don't know, use those colors more often. But, oh well. And I'm not even scratching the surface of like what else you can do. You can pick up like color chips from levels. You get like 3 sets. Some increase, some are a little harder, some are a little easier, but like the easier ones aren't going to give you the best chips. And sometimes you might get lucky and get a double chip, but they're also throwing a bonus like objective, like, hey, once you accept this mission, you can't do this certain action. Like, for instance, you can't use the Pearl Droid, your little companion for the side story DLC, to fly around. Right, and if you use her to fly around, you don't get the bonus objective. So you automatically like lose more money than you would gain if you just didn't fly around with her. Yeah, that makes sense. Great, I'm so glad it did. All right, and near the end, right after struggling with Protect the Zone and the homing flying babies, I was on like 1 life, and I was so terrified of like losing the run. I was like, I gotta look up what the boss looks like. I was like, I don't care, I'm spoiling it, I'm already here. So I learned how the boss route works, and he almost got me a few times, I'm not even gonna lie, but we beat him. And the finale was beautiful. It was beautiful. And apparently if you go back and like beat the game with all available weapons, you get an extra cutscene. And I'm just like, holy shit, well, I might have to go back, because like that game was so fun. It was so stressful. Comparing Side Order to Splatoon 1 story mode, you can definitely see what I'm comparing. Side Order is like up here. It's so high up, it's not even, it is the best campaign they got. And it's essentially infinitely replayable. It took me maybe 7 tries before I got my first story mode win. So that's really cool. I'm excited to get more in the future. Would love to like 100% it. Maybe I'll make it a stream. Maybe I'll make it more streams or something. I don't know. By the way, if you'd like to check out my streams because you enjoy the sound of my voice, twitch.tv/StormSurge7721, because for whatever reason Twitch wouldn't allow 721. All right, I'll have the link in the description. See you there. Bye-bye. So now we're talking about we finally got through my experience with Splatoon 3. Overall, great series. If you can get your hands on these fantastic gems, I'd highly recommend it. Go get yourself your copy of Splatoon 1, 2, or 3. Right? Go play them. They're all fun in their own ways. Now, you might have noticed how I never mentioned anything about the salmon runs from Splatoon 2 or 3. Well, I have never played those game modes, as I've just recently got into the Splatoon series myself, maybe max like half a year ago. I never experienced it, and when at first I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to do the salmon run mode in Splatoon 3, but then Splatoon Raiders was announced, and I was like, well, whatever then. What if I just went in blind and experienced whatever the salmon mode was? I experienced this, maybe I'll go back to running salmon run back in Splatoon 2. I'll play Splatoon Raiders, then I'll maybe run back and play some more salmon run from Splatoon 2 and 3, just see how they compare to Raiders. Now, speaking of Raiders, let's talk about what I'm excited for, all right? So, number one, a PvE-based Splatoon game, because I've always been saying, since one, the story modes are great, but they always feel like they just end, and that's it, and then they just throw you off to the PvP, which I know is the main attraction, but I want more story. I just love hanging out with the characters and talking with them. It's fun. Because once the story stops, you get a little cutscene talking about, oh, hey, you're here. That's cool. All right, well, go do whatever you want. And that's it. So, first things first in my big old list of notes I have here. Number one, you have a job. All right. Long gone are the days of you being this Squid kid that just shows up, gets suited up in some hero stuff, and saves the world. You have a full-on job. You're an ace pilot flying a mechanized helipad, whatever, a helicopter or something for deep cut. All right. And then suddenly there's this round, terrifying storm that takes you to that, maybe not take you to, but you're dropped off on the Spiralite Islands, right? And you deep cut, y'all come together, they essentially hire you. You don't really have much of a choice. It's either that or starve. You're hired to come collect treasure with them. So you do one main one, you go out there, you shoot the salmonoids, something I'll get into in a little bit. You go and shoot the salmonoids and you collect all the treasures you can, right? And Deep Cut also assists you. They don't just bark orders at you. They assist you in a lot of ways, all right? So there's this assist bar, right? Where you can choose either Fry, Shiver, or Big Man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm really leaning towards Big Man as my support buddy, right? So they can go out there, help you shoot off the salmonoids, and even assist you with their own supers. So I'm excited to see what that's about. Now, when it comes to the salmonoids, you got like 3 flavors of salmonoids. You got the lesser salmonoids, which would be like your generic grunts. Weak on their own, bad in numbers. You got your bigger grunts or the boss salmonoids, right? So you got your boss salmonoids, which are like the bigger grunts, stronger on their own and even stronger in numbers. Nothing you want to mess with. You want to probably take them down as soon as you can so you can start focusing on the lesser grunts. And you got the bosses, albeit not called the bosses. You have the seasoned salmonoids, which are apparently covered in this like salt or something. I don't know. Maybe there's something got to do with the salt. I'm trying to avoid as many story trailers as I can, and I'm going to be having a terrible time trying to avoid spoilers all day. But yeah, so you got these crazy seasoned salmonoids covered in salt that are just like, I remember one specifically, like there was this dragon, right? Really long salmonoid with like metal jaws at the end of it, just constantly biting across the levels. So I'm excited to fight those. I'm going to keep saying things like I'm excited because I am excited. I'm really hyped. It's 12 in the morning. I'm excited to get my copy. I'm excited to come home. I'm going to come take a shower and I'm just hopping on and streaming. So you have these scary salmonoids to deal with. How are you going to fight them off? Well, So glad you asked, person behind the screen. There is apparently over 100 types of weapons, right? So I'm assuming what they means is there's going to be a few archetypes, but there's so many ways to customize them. There's probably just going to seem like an endless sea of weapons, which I'm all for, right? So as you're fighting the Seminoles, you're going to be able to pick up weapons from them, weapon drops. And the best thing about those weapon drops is, let's just say you're in a hard dungeon, right? And you're like, dang, it's getting a little rough out there. You're on the verge of going down. You're just like, screw it, man. Let me just get this gear, and then you die. You get to keep that. So let's say you get this high level gun. Even if you lost the run, you get to keep that gun and then use it for whatever else you want to do, which is like fantastic. And even some weapons come with abilities. And speaking of abilities, you have 3 different types of tanks. So you got the power tank, so you have the power tank, the speed tank, and the tactical tanks. So starting with the speed tank, it's probably going to be a little lighter on the inked fuelage, but you get access to abilities like this one where you get a dash bomb, right? Like like a small bomb behind you, and you just get to speed through some enemies, maybe even like helping you cover some land or get out of a tight spot, right? Jumping over to the power tank, which I'm going to say is going to be the most popular one. There's going to be splatter lights. You get to you have this flechette where you would just like dash forward, chop, and then just leave this huge area of ink and do massive damage. And over on the tactical side, you get these giant pufferfish type bombs, right? So like if you know in the past Splatoon games, you shoot a pufferfish, they'll fill up with your ink and then explode, right? So you get these bombs of the same style. So you throw a bomb in the air, it'll float. If you shoot it, it'll just blow up. Now here's the kicker: you can link like 2 to 3 bombs together, and it'll just explode. Like, just imagine this massive explosion. Now, I don't know if there's a limit, but imagine there's like 4 tactical tanks together, and we all just start throwing out all our max amount of bombs, link it together, and just shoot it. It's just going to be a beautiful, beautiful symphony of ink everywhere, just doing so much damage. It's going to be great. Now, you get through a run, you die. You're like, dang, this is like my 5th death this run. What am I doing? So you could just run back to your base, right? We're going to talk about the base in a second. And you can upgrade yourself. So you got your basic stats like your health, you got your damages from both sources, like all sources. So you can upgrade your stats. You got your health, you can upgrade your damage sources like your weapons or your gadgets. You can even increase the amount of skill slots you have for said gadgets. So you can customize them to do whatever you want. Now, I don't know the limits of what the customization is, but I do know that at least in the demonstrations they showed, you could now I know in the demonstration that was with the tactical tank, you could put on your turret, and then you could have it so it multiplies into 2 turrets, and it can shoot farther, do more damage, and as long as you have the skill slots to do it, you can make your weapon do whatever you want. And I'm really excited for that. I hope you can tell I'm really excited for it. And lastly, on our docket of wonderful things I'm excited for Splatoon Raiders is multiplayer. So if you're used to things like Generation 5, Monster Hunter, World, and Wilds, and maybe Go, I don't really know too much about Monster Hunter Go. I don't play it that often, but I know they have multiplayer you can call for help. You can essentially put out an SOS flare. So if you're like, dang, I'm struggling right now, but I don't want this to end, let me just call for some extra help. You can put up a flare. Someone can come by, come help you. The person who helped you gets big rewards, and the person who, and you get to survive the run. You win, everyone wins. You get your money, all that good stuff. You can tap them in, and you'll get an outfit based on whoever it was. I'm assuming with the new Raiders deep cuts amiibos, you're going to get their outfit, but I wonder if they'll do an update. So the older amiibos can give you an outfit, because I mean, if the outfits are fire, I might have an excuse to pop out the Squid sisters out the box. Who knows? But yeah, overall, I'm really, really, really hyped for this new Splatoon Raiders. All right, I'm happy that I can jump in. Maybe this is a game that'll last a long time, and if all goes well, it sells well, and the reception is fantastic, we could even have a spin-off series. I would love to have more PvE focused Splatoon games. I think the Splatoon gameplay is fantastic, right? But I'm not the biggest fan of the multiplayer aspect, or at least the PvP aspect. I would love to get just all raid and pillage and all that fun stuff. it's for fun. I just want more. I just want more Splatoon. I really love Splatoon. It's great. I understand why people were going crazy for it back in like whenever it came out until now. Like I see the light, I see the vision, and I'm in like it now. So yeah, again, as soon as I get the game, I come home from work. Um, I'm gonna come home, eat, take a shower. So about 10:30 p.m. to 10:45 EST, I'm gonna be streaming on my Twitch channel. Right. I'd love to have you there. Please come by. If we can all do some missions together, please let me know. I'd love to have you. And yeah, that's about it. I'm excited for Splatoon Raiders. So I really hope you all have a good night. I'll catch you all later and get out my house. Bye bye.